Now let us continue our discussions on the issue that students complaining their supervisor giving very little guidance for their postgraduate studies. In our previous videos, we talked about these situations where the supervisor spent most of his time correcting the writings of the students. This is likely due to the problem with the writing of the students, which the supervisor will have to settle the most critical part to improve the qualities of writing so that it is presentable to the examiner for the assessments of the postgraduate studies. A good writings may not necessarily guarantee a pass for the postgraduate study. However, poor writings will definitely lead to failure of the postgraduate studies. If you find that a majority of the time has been used to correct your sentences, you will need to find a way for you to improve your writings so that your supervisor have more time to teach you the advanced research skills, techniques, and also on the technical aspects. In these videos, we're going to discuss another scenario leading to the complaints of the students that the supervisor is doing little to guide the students on the technical aspects, which is the supervisor spends most of the time motivating the students and offering very little technical insights to the students. This also happens among the postgraduate students. Now let us look at the first questions related to this issue. Is it the job scope of the supervisors to motivate the postgraduate students? Theoretically, a supervisor do not need to motivate the students. That means a supervisor can still supervise postgraduate students well without giving any motivations to the students. However, in the reality, most of the supervisors will still motivate their students. Have you ever wondered why? One of the reasons, at least based on my personal experience, is that we observe the stress among the postgraduate students. We ourselves has been through the process of the postgraduate studies. We experience the stress and can imagine the pressure of postgraduate students. We knew the loneliness and bitterness of doing the postgraduate studies. In fact, we can make all our discussions with the students very solid, theoretical, and practical. Along the way, most supervisors choose to incorporate some motivations to the students, trying to relieve the stress, trying to make the students more comfortable and be more open to accept challenges. This can help the students to be more ambitious, more motivated, more confident with their words, and more productive. You know that postgraduate studies is different from the undergraduate studies. You have a lot of classmates and friends during your undergraduate studies. When it comes to the postgraduate studies, what you are doing is actually choosing a different path from most of your friends. By now, most of your friends are working. They have proceeded to the next level of their life, having a good career, generating income for themselves, acquiring assets out of their incomes, probably getting themselves married, have some kids, and move on with their lives. It seems that their lives are all on track, which at the same time, when you look at yourself, you are still studying, you have no active income. Probably some of the lucky ones have the scholarships or research grant to support the studies. Even though you are the one with the scholarship or research grants, it doesn't feel like you are generating the income on your own. You see yourself different from most of your other friends, and you are choosing a different path from most of your friends. It feels like you are still remaining in your current status, studying, and your future is still not clearly seen yet. This is especially when you are stressful, struggling with your postgraduate study, feeling like you are not making much progress. You are lacking confidence that you could ever pass your postgraduate studies. You have no idea what is coming next after you pass your postgraduate studies. Sometimes you may ask yourself if you are making the right decisions. You are questioning yourself whether you are wasting your time, how much benefit that you can acquire after you obtain your postgraduate degree. A typical postgraduate student aged between 23 to 30 years old. These are the group of postgraduate students who decided to proceed with their postgraduate study before entering the industry. Let's say you acquire your bachelor degree by the age of 23. Taking your master will require 2 to 3 years. By the time you acquire your master's, you are nearly 26 years old. Let's say you decided to proceed with your PhDs. Another 3 to 5 years will be required, especially nearly to the ends of your PhDs. You are about 30 years old. Let's say by the time of 30 years old, your friends who enter the industry after they graduated their bachelor degree, they have at least 7 years of working experience. They have transformed themselves from a fresh graduate to a more senior professionals. But when you look at yourself, you still feel yourself as a student, having a similar lifestyle as you used to be during the undergraduate, having a similar living standards. You feel like you are lacking behind among your friends. This is quite stressful and you feel lonely. Now, if you look at the mechanism of studying masters and PhDs, the research topic is very personal. You are the only persons doing that particular research topic. You are not doing the group assignments as you used to. Even though you have your fellow research colleagues, they are working on the other research topic. They do not encounter the same problem that you encounter. This brings you the feeling of loneliness. Most of your supervisors experience through this kind of pressure. They know very sure the feeling of this. And then when it comes to the technical part, you will expect it is more difficult than your undergraduate studies. The undergraduate studies, you are looking for answers under extensive guidance of your lecturers. If you have problem with the studies, you may consult your lecturers, and normally you will be getting straight answers. However, when it comes to the postgraduate studies, the focus of the learning, it will be on the critical thinkings. There will also be problem solvings. The mechanisms of guidance, it will not be straight answers. Instead, it will be in the mode of supervisions, giving you advice, directions, and at the end of the day, you will need to resolve the problems by yourself. Like I always said, it is not only the learning in the technical aspects. There will also be learning in terms of the research skill, building up your personal qualities, in terms of confronting problems and ability to resolve the problems. So what you see here, there are stresses, loneliness, and bitterness in undertaking the postgraduate studies. This is especially when you observe yourself choosing a different path than the other friends. And also when you are facing the problems during the postgraduate studies, when you doubt yourself, wondering if you're making the right decisions, and so on so far. You are not the first person to experience that. Most likely your supervisor also had this similar experience. That's why you will see many supervisors also take initiative to motivate the students. Now the question is, if you find himself only doing the motivations without giving you any technical insights, probably you have to consider from another two aspects. First, you will need to evaluate yourself, whether you are stressful. Do you have problems undertaking the postgraduate studies? Probably this is something that your supervisor noticed from you, and he is trying to help you out. Another thing is, if you really need the technical insights, you need more guidance on the research part and the technical part, you can always ask, seeking his opinions over your research project. Analyze the problems together with your supervisor, and then work out the solutions together, which at the same time, you will need to learn how to resolve the problems so that eventually you can be more independent to show your progress and growth in terms of the technical skills and the ability to resolve the problems.